Lisa Cooper is here. Her website is pickinguppennies.com. You do a lot of public speaking specifically to high school kids, even more on target high school girls. I had asked you the question when we went to break. If you took cell phones and took them back to 1935 America or 1955, teenage America, and gave them 6 or 8 weeks to figure out how they work, do you think a 1952 or 53 or 55 teenage girl would be sending naked pictures of herself to her boyfriend? In other words, is it more about the morality or the tools of our society?
King Solomon writes in the book of Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. So for us to pretend that 21st century America, we see this moral decline like the world has never known, that's foolishness. But we do see, I think, specifics or maybe something more widespread among women, among teenage girls, and that is that we are losing our ability to value ourselves. We're losing our ability to see exactly who we are. It used to be that if you were one of the girls who did those things, you were looked down upon. And now the pressure is, in order
just
to be...
Just the opposite.
It is. If you want to be a woman, if you want to be free, if you want to be independent, if you want to really express your individuality, you have to be a participant in the sexual revolution. And the sad thing about it is that women are being fed this line that if you want to be like a man, you have to express your sexuality the way a man does. But even putting morality aside, there are physiological things that happen to women that do not happen to men that change them inherently whenever they participate in sex. It's like saying if you want to be a man, you put the helmet and the shoulder pads on and you get out and play defensive end. And the truth is, I don't care who you are as a woman, you're never going to play defensive end like a man does. And so we've tried to put men's equipment on women and send them out onto the field and say, you're just the same, just get out there and do it. And what's happening is that women are getting tackled all over the field and they don't understand what's happening to them and they don't understand why they feel this way. So they're pushing harder to get out there and express themselves even more, to push the line even more with equally disastrous results.
When you and your public speaking engagements are talking to teenage girls about these things, how do they express to you, or do they, that this new world order of freedom and equality, if you will, is really making them unhappy?
They don't, because I think they don't understand that that's part of the root of why they're unhappy. You know, one of the things that statistically we see is that girls who participate in sexting, girls who participate in sex outside of a marriage relationship, and sometimes even within, depending on how she sees herself, that leads to an increased suicide rate, increased depression, eating disorders. Because what happens is that girls now are starting to compete with porn. And I think that has been...
Wait, what?
That girls compete with porn. That porn is readily available, and guys look at these girls who have really modeled themselves to be perfect specimens and whose only desire is to have sex with them. And so you have these teenage girls who don't look like that, who don't feel that way, and yet they're subliminally, I guess, or being told that if you want to play the game, this is how it's done. 90% of teenagers are looking at porn. And so they are looking at, well, this must mean that this is what girls are like and this is what they want.
Because you're 15, 16, 17, or hell, 10, 11, or 12, and you have no other frame of reference.
Exactly. This is what's happening, I think, when we have our morality speakers are coming on the scene and saying, don't do this because it's a sin. Don't do this because the Bible says you shouldn't. Don't do this because the church preaches against it. But nobody can speak to these girls anymore and say, this is actually why. It's just like the parent who says, don't do it because I said so. Well, guess what? This is a generation of kids who don't care. And so you've got to be able to speak to them in language that they understand and that they value.